Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Whole Dat Show. This is your host, Abdalayini, Chelsea fan. For once, happy that we won a game. We won a game. We won a game. Unlike the man next to me, we actually got the 3 points this weekend. But before we talk about that and so much more, I'm gonna let my host introduce himself.
I said he's happy that he beat Sheffield United. Is that how far Chelsea's fallen? That's mad. But yeah, man is here in it. Luke, obviously, I expected 3 points, but then in the same sentence, I sort of should have seen it coming. The last two games, Palace, Sheffield United, we created chances, but like we just wasn't killers. And that was exactly the same again. 34 attempts on goal, 8 shots on target, and one liability up front. But we'll talk that and many more. Let's go into the first game, Marju.
Yeah, the first game. We'll just quickly, briefly talk about my game. Now, I didn't catch it live because life happens, and I was outside. And actually, I was watching a game that was much better: Tottenham women's versus Arsenal women's, and thankfully Tottenham won. So hold that, Asna. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And that means Chelsea women's are top of the table, baby. Let's go. Top of the women's table. Let's go. No, but yeah, no. I would say this: the Tottenham Stadium is a really nice stadium. I gotta give it to them. They built a real nice stadium in Tottenham right there. I mean, it looks like a big grey building on the outside, but the interior, absolutely beautiful. But back onto my game. Um, what can I say? Um, I ended up watching it later down the line, and the first half it was just same old, lacking ideas, struggling against the low block, and the typical stuff we do in these type of games. And really, it took two individual moments of brilliance to break them down in the second half. I think Palmer and Sterling are a cut above um, in terms of creating and attacking. You could see the Man City DNA in them. Them man were working well together. I am annoyed by the team selection and initially got four centre back. I said three centre backs last week. This man went for four centre backs. So, uh,
Breaking records, fam.
yeah, he's trying to sign out. I don't know, but injuries piling up. Backup goalkeeper did what he needed to do, but don't go overboard. He's a backup for a reason. Um, but I still feel there's a lot we can improve in terms of the team. I think we've not had our full team available the whole season, which has been a problem. And you can see that there's no consistency in the squads and in the starting 11s that we have. So you can see why there's a bit of um difficulty into actually having attacking patterns of play and stuff like that. But two lovely goals. Cole Palmer, the catalyst for the first one, and the second one, um, as well. I think it was funny. The funniest thing about the second one was Sterling was too busy shouting at Gallagher to actually celebrate the goal because he was getting in the way. Gallagher dog. He is a dog, but yeah, no, in the attacking sense, he doesn't do much. Man saw a clip of him try and do a Rabona and lose the ball, so
I saw that.
he ain't got no creativity at that
Oh
point,
my
man.
days.
So
Uh,
yeah, I'm overall just happy with the win. 22 points, 18 more to 40. As long as we stay in the league this season, that's all we can hope for. I think it's a big game in midweek against Newcastle. I think the cups are where we're gonna be our bread and butter. We need to win both the cups. I think we have no other choice. Nothing else to play for, and yeah, I'm not trying to lose to Newcastle. So it's a big game tomorrow. Um, I need a win. We need to keep on winning. We need to add momentum to our team, and we can't lose to them, man, again. So protect home court, win the game, and yeah, on to the next one. But that's all I gotta say. No, a bit negative about the starting lineup, but overall, I mean, it's a typical Chelsea performance, and we're struggling against bottom for the team. So it is what it is. But Luke, if you check the game out, if you have any thoughts, please
Yeah, I
add your two
did
pence.
still. Like I said, I watched the game. I thought, yeah, like you perfectly summed it up. It was just one of those typical Chelsea performances where, you're waiting for something to happen instead of the team actually trying to do something. I feel like Cole Palmer, I said this in the last podcast, Cole Palmer needs to stop being positioned on that winger role because he's not a winger. He's a cam, and you literally saw that when he was in field, the damage that he was causing in behind Nicholas Jackson, and the ability to pick a pass when Sterling was on the right wing cutting in. He was everything that good about Chelsea in those two goals. I think the team needs to be molded by him. I'm sick and tired of seeing Conor Gallagher in that 10 when you have a natural 10 in Cole Palmer. And I think right now you need to be releasing the shackles. Um, and allowing your creative players to get on the ball a lot more. Conor Gallagher is a benchman. You know, that's all he will be is a benchman. You got Caicedo, you got Enzo. Get those two in that CDM position. You know, being that solid base in front of the back four or in front of a back three, and just provide or give Cole Palmer the license to just boss it because that's exactly what he did. And you need players to do that. I thought, yeah, it was a good mature performance by him. I think Sterling, throughout all of his inconsistencies, he actually turned up in that game. I thought he also was providing a good threat. He was turning up in the left wing position, in the right wing positions. He was interchanging with Cole Palmer. And I feel like Sterling should have got his goal if it wasn't for Conor Gallagher flicking the ball, making it difficult for Sterling to get hold of the ball because Sterling controlled the ball well. And it looked like if the ball dropped, he would have swapped it first time, but Conor Gallagher took an extra touch away from him, which meant that Sterling needed to control it again. And by that time, it was just too late. So I don't blame Sterling for shouting at him. I would have done the exact same thing. Your presence wasn't needed in that play. Sterling's experienced enough to know what to do in that situation. You're doing that against someone that's won leagues, that's won a CL. Like what are you doing? So for me, yeah, I'd be fuming. Like I literally would be fuming, shouting at him because that could have been a goal there. Obviously, a goal was scored, but I'm pretty sure through the individual brilliance that Sterling was performing in that game, you know, he should have capped off with a goal. Let's be real. So, yeah, I think it was a good performance in terms of individual brilliance. Whether it was a good performance in terms of a team performance, maybe not. But again, at this point, you probably need the individual brilliance at the moment until when Poch knows, what his first 11 is, what his formation is, until when certain individuals are going to be returning back to their natural positions. I think right now you're probably just going to be relying on those individual brilliance to get you over the line. But yeah, all in all, it was a good performance from you guys still, and yeah, hopefully you guys can climb up the table a bit more because it's sort of weird seeing you man just floundering at the bottom like that. Um, at least get Europa League, at least. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree that that's definitely something that we need to look towards. Yeah, Europa League with the FA Cup, Conference League with the with the Carabao. If we win the Carabao and get Conference League, why not add another European trophy? Win something new. You know what I mean? Win the what I like to call the Make a Wish European Trophy, because that's what it is. They did
It's
that.
true.
Let's be honest. Even though I'm gonna be in it and shameless when we win it, the teams that are winning it are teams that will never ever actually were never going to win in Europe. Let's be honest. Like they aren't. Like West Ham and Roma. Come on, them are now like sixth, seventh in their leagues respectively. So, but we move on to the next game. Now, unfortunately, I was an idiot. My fantasy football, I thought Liverpool were gonna do bits. I had 3 man in my team. I triple captain Salah, and I was thinking going into this weekend, not this Liverpool team that's gonna play like this. I was thinking all the attacking power. You know, your right back Trent, Mr. Assist and goals, Mr. In the big moment, in the big times he's there. Mr. Salah, African King, yeah, Nunes, Captain Chaos, all these players. But what happened? You had certain man celebrating draws because of your incompetence. As you said, what, 32, 36 shots? And didn't even hit one? Man, that is absolutely terrible. Imagine your team in the gun range. Bare missed targets. If you man were in Iraq, fam, you been hitting bare civilians, accidents, and them thing there. Uh, that many shots, and you couldn't even get one goal. One goal. And as far as I'm concerned, it was the attack was lackluster. I'm just gonna say a little bit before I let you go because I know you got a lot to say on this game, but I'm just gonna say my piece and then give you the floor. But it was like watching a bunch of man that never played together before. I don't know if they forgot who each other are or something. It was like 4 man them just came on the pitch and they just started balling out. Bare wallahi's and that. Bare, oh, I'm here. I saw a clip of some boys like slipping up because he's expecting the ball there. It went behind him. I'm like, I'm looking at this the attacking moves and stuff, and I'm like, these are elite level attackers. Yeah, say what you will about these players, they're elite level attackers. There's a reason why they're at Liverpool, but not to play good. They played like Liverpool were terrible. Man United were there not to. Man United were like a relegation for the team, defending for their lives. And Varane was man of the match because he defended like a Champions League Varane. He weren't Europa League, he weren't Conference, he was Champions League Varane that game. But the attack of Liverpool allowed them to be that brilliant because they were so lackluster, so slow in their play, and I also think Klopp was very silly with his substitutions. And I feel like just like how the crowd was, that's how the game was. Quiet. Nothing happened. 90 minutes of my life gone. Plus, actually no, it was more than 90 minutes, like an hour and a half of my life gone watching that dross. And yeah, for me, I understand why Liverpool fans would be frustrated. I understand why Van Dijk's poking, saying, "Oh, these men are celebrating draws," but come on, you needed to win the game. You needed to do what you needed to do to get back on the top of the table. Man City had lost or no drop points. You had to do your job, and you didn't do your job. And that's the thing about football. In these big moments, in these games, when you're against adversity, against a team that just wants to defend, you need to unlock the door. And yeah, couple experiments, Trent in midfield, um, a lackluster bench, people coming on, and I think in many ways, I think it wasn't the game for an endo. I think McAllister in the game would have been better just because you just needed attacking talent. You needed some creativity, some added oomph. You were missing Thiago. You were missing a Jota in there from the start. And for me, I think this would have been a game where you should have started Jota up front instead of Nunes. I think Nunes is Captain Chaos, but he's not precise, and you need precision against a low block team. And that's what Man United did, and they did it to perfection. But I'm gonna let you go. Your team drew, and yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. I'm just gonna let you go and, and talk about your team. You have the floor, Luke Adonis. Put out your
Yeah.
wisdom.
You know what? I knew we would draw just because the the performance against Sheffield and the performance against Palace sort of meant that this performance against United was going to happen. You know, we scraped by against those games. Yes, granted, we played well in a sense of possession. We played well in a sense of attempts in terms of shots, but in terms of actually finishing the game strong, you know, scoring precise goals, killing off the game, that just wasn't us in neither of those two games. It was lackluster. Um, and to go into this game, I always say that like when you go into a derby, form goes out the window. Like it does. Like it doesn't matter that United have been poor, and it doesn't matter that Liverpool have been better than them this season. You know, form goes out the window. It's how you deliver on the actual game. And with how Liverpool's been delivering in those last two games, it pretty much meant that that was going to be the performance against United. You're playing at home, you know, there was no oomph, there was no attacking threat. The crowd wasn't up for it because they saw the lackluster on a pitch. So it's like, okay, well, if they're not delivering on a pitch, how am I going to get them up for it? Because this is three matches now where there's been no bite in the attack. You know, Luis Diaz isn't performing how he should do anymore because that ACL injury's probably knocked his confidence. Darwin Núñez is a liability up front. The one opportunity where he used his pace to get in behind, and instead of him controlling the ball, he allowed the ball to hit him in the shin. Luis Diaz was clear in the 6 yard box. He could have just squared it and did a sweaty goal. He decided to allow the ball to hit him in the shin. He couldn't even control it. By the time Luis Diaz did get the shot off, it got blocked. That was the chance. How can you rely on a striker that is just not offering you anything? All he's doing is offering pace. Yeah, pace is good. Yeah, you want to be a pace merchant. Aubameyang was a pace merchant, but at least he could finish his dinner. But Darwin Núñez, we can't be. I'm seeing a lot of Liverpool fans saying, "Oh, he'll come good, he'll come good." How many times are we going to be saying this about one player? He's been here for 2 seasons. Last season, I saw stats saying, "Oh, in Luis Suarez's second season, he delivered this, this, and this." I said this in the last pod. Luis Suarez is on a different level. He is on a different planet. He is not human. He's probably the best striker in world football in the modern era. I don't think there's any striker that's close to Luis Suarez's level. Not technical wise, not dribbling wise, not scoring wise. He's on a different planet. How are you then going to compare someone of that elite to Darwin Núñez? Why? Because they're both Uruguayan. How does that make sense? Why? Because he did it at Benfica in his second season. He hit the ground running. Do you people not understand the difference between the Premier League and a foreign league? Like, I don't get how people struggle to identify that the Premier League is the hardest league in world football. The centre backs are faster, they're stronger, they're quicker, they're more tactical. They're not like that in the foreign leagues. It's easy. See how Timo Werner was ripping it up in the Bundesliga, came to the Prem, man got snuffed, went back to the Bundesliga and was ripping it. Look at Lacazette at League 1, ripping it there, came to Arsenal. Granted, he went to the wrong club, but he went to Arsenal, did nothing, then went back to League 1, ripping it again. So much so, they gave him the captain's armband. There's a difference between the Premier League. It's either you have it as a striker or you don't. There's not many strikers that can come from abroad and come to the Premier League and light it up. Henri, Aguero, Luis Suarez. That's just to name the few. Robin van Persie. That's to name a few that's come to the Premier League from abroad and lit it up. Not many strikers can do that. Now, we can look at Darwin Núñez first season and give him an a blight because we could be like, you know what? Like Klopp likes to bed players in, get them adjusted to his style as well as the league that he's playing in. So fair enough. Season two comes in and my man's still struggling. How you scoring 4 goals? 4 goals in all competition is probably nine. But 4 goals in a league and there's man them like Dominic Solanke that's balling out. Better than you, brother. Nicholas Jackson, who is shocking at Chelsea, is scoring more goals than you, brother. I'm pretty sure that Diogo Jota, that's been injured most of this season, has probably got more goals than you as well. That should say something. He's not built for this league. He needs to be in La Liga, playing for Real Madrid or Barcelona or Atletico Madrid, and using his pace to get beyond those slow guys in those foreign leagues. He's not built for this league. He's not. And we can't be sitting here defending him. As Liverpool fans, we need to stop defending this guy. We need to stop. Because he's going to cost us the league. If anything, he probably has cost us the league because he's not clinical. As a number 9 for Liverpool, for Chelsea, City, United, Arsenal, and Tottenham, and Newcastle because they're used to solid number 9s. You need to have a solid 9 for any trophy laden season that you want to have, any challenge you want to have in the CL, Europa League, the Premier League, wherever you are at. You have to have a solid number 9 that can bag you at least 20 goals. Can we look at Darwin Núñez and say that he will give us that? No, he won't. But then we got fans out here defending him, saying, "Oh, stop, um, using Darwin Núñez as a scapegoat. Every other player has been shocking." Okay, but is Darwin Núñez not a number 9? His job is to score us goals, no? So are we not going to look at him first? I don't know what's happening to this team. It's like Jurgen Klopp's got two of one of the best creative guys in his midfield in Slobosly and McAllister, but I feel like he's turned them more into workhorses like a Henderson and Milner as opposed to unlocking their shackles and allowing them to create. It's no coincidence that guys like McAllister and Slobosly are leading their countries to World Cups, Euros, for the first time for Slobosly, leading Hungary to the Euros. But yet, as soon as he comes to the Premier League, as soon as he comes and plays for Liverpool, there's the creativity is lacking. There's nothing there. We're doing the same recycled BS all the time. Get Trent on the ball, get Trent on the ball, get Trent on the ball. Yeah, Trent is brilliant. He's world class, probably one of the most elite passers in world football. But you've got other guys in midfield that can spray those passes, that can unlock a defense. But we're not using, it's just rinse and repeat of the same thing. And that's my issue with Liverpool. If Jurgen Klopp doesn't rectify this, or if Jurgen Klopp doesn't find something different or new to freshen things up, because you can see Salah's frustrated, you can see Salah's not the same right now. You can see nothing's there for Darwin Núñez. If Diego Jota was in those positions that Darwin Núñez was in, Diego would have scored those goals. Jota is a gunman. He's inconsistent in terms of a frustrating player when it comes to getting onto the ball and trying to hold up, etc. But that's not his game. But he's frustrating in that department. But when it comes to 1v1s, when it comes to him being in a box, being a gunman, you can always rely on Jota to score the goals. We can't do that with Núñez. And as I said, that is the problem in that game. You can't have 34 shots against one of the most worst United teams in the history. It doesn't even matter that they came to Anfield to defend because we knew that was their assignment. We knew that they were going to do that. Our assignment is to try and find ways to try and create and open up those low blocks, trying to make those diagonal runs, trying to run through the channels, trying to utilize the creative guys that we got. That is our job to do, to overpower them, to overrun them. We definitely overpowered them because we got 34 shots off, but to only get 8 shots on target and not one of them to be a goal. And the best chances that we had was with Trent when they late when Salah cut it back for him to run onto and shoot. and it went wide. It curled because he side-footed it, so it curled away from the goal. That was a good shot because Onana wasn't gonna get down to beat it because he was flat-footed. He just stood there. And then the Darwin Nunes where you could have crossed it to squared it to Luis Diaz. You know, those are two vital chances, and you're never gonna get those. So you have to be clinical and take those chances. And we just didn't do it. We didn't do it. And that was the chance for us to be 2 points ahead going into the weekend against Arsenal, where they're coming to Anfield, and that would have been the game for us to just beat them and go on a run. Because we have 3 games before Man City comes back, and the assignment is to win every game so that we're 12 points ahead of Man City, so that they won't be able to catch us. Now we're in a position whereby we have to beat Arsenal when they come to Anfield, because if we don't, if they somewhat win, then they're going to go on a momentum, and it's going to be difficult for us to catch up to them. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if Arsenal is known to bottle. It's different. It's different. When you're in a title challenge, regardless if you're meant to be there or you're not meant to be there, once you've tasted a title challenge, it's in your DNA to want it again. And no doubt Mikel Arteta would have prepared them in the summer, saying, listen, we missed out on the league. I personally think that they weren't supposed to be there, and they didn't bottle the league because they weren't supposed to be there, but they were just there because everybody else was shocking, so they didn't bottle the league. But now Mikel Arteta's put them in a position and most likely spoken to them during that transfer window and said, listen guys, right now our target is to win the league now, because we've tasted being in the top 4. We've tasted being in the title running. We know what it's like. We know where we fell short. This is where we're going to tweak to try push on. I guarantee that Arsenal is not going to bottle it this season. And the only people who are to blame are Liverpool and Man City. That's the only 2 people to blame if they do go on to win this league. We're to blame because yet again we've gone into the season short. Every single season we're always falling short of one position. We're never going into a season prepared. Last season was centre mids. The season before that was centre backs. The season before that, striker. This season, CDM. What's going to be next season? A right winger because Mo Salah might leave, or a right back. We didn't go into the season prepared. City's issue is they sold all of their guys before they should have sold them. They shouldn't have sold those guys. They shouldn't have sold Gundogan. They shouldn't have sold Mahrez. They shouldn't have sold Emerick Laporte. These are guys that still had at least 2 more seasons in them, especially Emerick Laporte, because he was 28, 29. He's in his prime. Why did you get rid of him? Mahrez is the same. He was 30 in his prime. Why did you get rid of him? Gundogan, fair enough, because he was at least 32, 33. So, but again, that's City's fault. So if we miss out on the league and Arsenal win it, we can only blame ourselves. But that game epitomised Liverpool's last 2 games and pretty much will epitomise the rest of the season. Because we're not going to go into January and buy anyone. I know what my owners are like. And Klopp is a yes man, so he's still going to go on that if the right player is available. What is the right player, bro? You know what the positions that we need. We've got the right players in the Premier League. Do you think Brighton goes out and be like, oh, if the right player is available? Brighton's already got scouts in different countries ready to scout and pick someone in straight away. Cherry pick, bam, De Zerbi, this is the guy for you. He's got the attributes. He's got the attributes, and he's ready. He's got the personality to play the style of football that you want to play. At Klopp, what do you mean by the right player? Because for the past 3, 4 years, I'm still waiting to see what the right player is. that's all I gotta say, man. Like for me, it's a disappointing game, and yeah, I could sit here and laugh at United, be it celebrating a draw, bro. If that was me and my team sucked the way that it did, I'd be celebrating a draw. So Liverpool fans shouldn't even be getting onto United fans for celebrating a draw because at one point when Roy Hodgson was managing us, we would be celebrating a draw. It's as simple as that. We're in a position where teams are doing low blocks against us because they know the threat that we have. No team's going to come to Anfield and play open, expansive football. They're not Man City. Like, come on, Van Dijk. Like, be smart. Like, come on. You're a mature man. You're 31 years of age. You're experienced enough to know that no one's going to go in a derby, I might add, go to the opposition home ground and play open, expansive football, knowing that they got killed 7-0 last season. Use your head. I know you're frustrated, but that was just a stupid comment. And for me, it's comments like that, which is why we deserve to be in the position that we're in. Because you should have prepared and planned for United to play the way that they did. And it just goes to show that you man weren't prepared. You man weren't prepared for them to come in and just sit back. You should know that that's gonna happen. Crystal Palace did it. Sheffield United did it. Like, come on. Teams do it to Man City, but the difference between us and Man City is they don't give up. They find ways to open up. You man do the same thing, rinse and repeat all the time. So yeah, Klopp needs to do something because for me, like at the end of the day, if you're not gonna be brave, switch up the system. If you're not gonna be brave and drop Darwin Nunes, for me, I'll finish on this. Yeah, for me, this will be my team. Yeah, stop putting Trent in midfield. Just keep Trent at right back. Just keep him there, and tell Trent stop leaving that right back position vacant. Because if you do that against Martinelli, it's long for you. It's long. Martinelli's due a goal because he's been shocking these last few games again with Arsenal. He's been absolutely terrible. So he's due a goal, and it will be fitting for it to happen against us. Yeah, I'm not even speaking into existence, but I just know what Trent is like. But for me, if I was Jurgen Klopp, the back line stays the same. I don't have a problem with that. But what I would say is Trent, stop bombing forward and pick your moment. You know, on FIFA, when you're playing FIFA and you're getting into instructions and it says overlap, stay back, or balance, I'll tell man to be balanced. Yeah, pick your moments of when you're gonna bomb up. Yeah, then I'll still have Endo in the six. I will, because at the end of the day, you still need someone that's natural. So you need someone that's natural to play in that position. So I'll keep Endo there. McAllister, Slobber Slide, that's fine. Yeah. Now, where I will change is Salah. You're my striker. You're not playing right wing. You're gonna play striker. The reason why you're playing striker is because you no longer have the pace or the confidence to beat a man because you do the same thing all the time on right wing. So I feel like you're better going through the middle because your back can be towards goal. You've still got that nippy mobility to be on the half turn and be direct and run. That's fine. Now, in his position, Harvey Elliott should be on that right wing because that's his natural position. He's got the confidence, he's got the ability to run from deep, like he's shown on his cameos in centre mid, to try and beat a man and take on a player. So I'd put Harvey Elliott there. He's still left footed, so he'll still cut in because we know that he can. And instead of Luis Diaz being on that left, put Cody Gakpo on that left. Or put Darwin Nunes. If you really want to fancy Darwin Nunes, put Darwin Nunes there because of his pace. I personally will put Cody Gakpo there because that's his natural position. You're allowing him to cut in and utilize the central areas, which is what he likes to do. And he's elegant on the ball. He's strong, so you know it will be difficult to get him off the ball. That would be my front line. I'd switch it up. baffle everybody. That's what I'll do because they're not gonna expect me to do that if I was Klopp. And I reckon playing Salah through the middle would work because when you get to that age, you have to redefine your ability. You have to redefine your position. Messi's done it. Ronaldo's done it. The best has to redefine. Kevin De Bruyne has done it. Steven Gerrard did it. Like you have to. Times are changing. You can't do the same thing all the time. The only player that can be one-dimensional is Arnie Robin. That's the only player that can be one-dimensional because it worked for him. But Salah needs to find a way to adapt and change his game. And the only way to do that is by converting him into a striker because there's just some guys that just can't do it out wide anymore. You have to shift them infield, and Ronaldo was one of them. So that would be my team, but I'm not a manager, so I'll close on that.
Great stuff on Liverpool. I like that starting 11. It's something different. I think that would surprise us, Arteta as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that Liverpool Arsenal game is next weekend. Big game. Title credentials on that game, and we'll be talking about that. Don't worry, we will be there. Win, lose or draw. So you better win the game because if you don't, I'm around. Because as far as I'm concerned, my results don't matter, but yours do now, and you got a responsibility. Stop Arsenal winning the Prem title 23-24. We there. Anyway, we move on to the next segment of the show where we each talk about our game of the week. Um, we're gonna pick an individual game for the weekend that we believe was our game of the week, the game that we enjoyed the most. I'm gonna let Luke kick it off. What game do you want to talk about that was your game of the week of the weekend?
I want to talk about Brentford versus Aston Villa only because I was actually at the match live, um, and I was on Match of the Day as well, which is mad. But I knew that I would be, to be fair, just because of where I was sitting. Um, But yeah, it's always good to watch matches live. You know, Marjorie can attest to this because Marjorie regularly goes to football matches as well, whether it's women's or men's, or just the experience of just being in that atmosphere. Just absorbing everything in the atmosphere. The chants and everything. It's just great, man. I enjoyed every bit of it. And to see Brentford kick ball live as well. We know Brentford can kick ball, but to watch them, it was just like wow. Like Thomas Frank is doing a madness over there. I'm not even gonna lie. He is doing something good. He's cooking good, and I feel like he's an underrated manager, which don't really get. He doesn't really get the plaudits, unfortunately, and I think we need to be talking about him, considering Ivan Tony isn't there anymore, and for them to be doing what they're doing without their talisman, their star man, and the way how they're playing, you wouldn't have even thought that Ivan Tony used to play for them or was playing for them, because of how good they're playing without him. And it just goes to show you that sometimes it's the system that works, it's the philosophy that works, it's not actually the player. And there's a stat that Brentford are actually or have actually won more games without Ivan Tony than actually with him. So even if they were to sell him in January because he's flirting with a move so much, it probably will benefit Brentford because they're still playing well without him. Um, but yeah, like the game was quality. It was a brilliant game. It had everything, really did. I literally saw refereeing corruption at its finest live. Like we go on about VAR and how terrible the referees are this season, but I literally saw how terrible a referee was live in person, and it just made me feel sick even more, honestly. Like referees really are bad this season. They really are. They've been bad for a while, to be honest, but they've been so terrible this season. And the ref didn't have a foothold of the game. He didn't manage the game well. He didn't manage the expectations. And I just feel like he lost the game. he really did lose control of the game. The football that Brentford played in the beginning was exquisite. I think the first half they really did dominate, and I felt like that Damsgaard and Wisa should have put um, Brentford at least 3-0 up in the first half. The chances were too clear cut. And the opportunities that they created in that game was just far superior than Aston Villa. Aston Villa just didn't get going and couldn't get going at all. I think the pressure in the first half, the high press, they just couldn't get hold of the ball. But fair play to Aston Villa though, they managed to take the sting out of the game with their experience, with the maturity that they have, with the composure to maintain being in the game, but also try and still play their style, still play their way. Um, and yeah, obviously there was a penalty shout. I feel like it should have been a penalty. It happened in the box right in front of me, and the guy literally was strangling man, and trying to bring him down to the ground. I was literally surprised that that wasn't a pen. It was definitely a pen. The red card incident, I've actually seen worse uh, red card incidences this season, and it hasn't been given a red card, it's been given a yellow. So to actually see that live and then to watch it back over again, I technically thought it was a yellow card. I actually didn't think it was a red. Um, but ultimately, that evidently changed the game. Again, if you don't take your chances, then eventually a team who is more clinical, who is more ruthless, and with Watkins, who is on form right now, he's probably the most um, informed striker at the moment in the Premier League, along with Dominic Solanke, coincidentally, who are both English. Whether Gareth Southgate's going to call them up and bench Harry Kane and play one of those two is just not going to happen. But we won't go down there. But yeah, like he was in form, and he obviously bagged himself a goal. And you know, we all saw the events that happened. I would like to stress there's a lot of people that was getting onto Ollie Watkins, but he actually didn't do anything. He came out and actually said that there was a Brentford um, fan who was shouting personal abuse towards him. Obviously, the interviewer asked if it was racial, but it wasn't racial. He said he's not going to throw that narrative out there. He said it was just personal abuse, and he said he made it his mission to obviously score and get back at get back at that individual, not the actual fans. But ultimately, it started up an uproar and caused the mad rockers, the mad beef to happen in the goal, and then we saw an incident between Martinez and Neil Morpay, which was so ridiculous and dumb.
He's a disgrace.
Um,
Brighton should get
it
relegated.
was it was so stupid. Like them two were just both dumb. I was surprised that Martinez didn't get a yellow for his antics. There was no need for him to do what he did. The minute you put your hands on a player, even if you're trying to get them up, he should have received a yellow in that regard, but it didn't happen. And then obviously there was another incident that happened afterwards as well, and you know the ref just lost control and was
Yeah.
just brandishing yellow cards and red cards, and it was a good game. I think if anybody was there at the ground, I think they would come out and say, you know, that match had everything. And if anybody was watching it on TV, you would have thought, oh, mad beef, oh yeah, this is good. So, you know, it was a fantastic game, honestly. But I do feel like Brentford should feel hard done by. I think they're not gonna obviously be relegated or whatnot, but obviously they're gonna have their own objectives, their own goals, and which what they want to do this season. And it's obviously matches like that that can sort of leave a sour taste in a club's or in a team's mouth and sort of derail their season. So hopefully they can use this as anger to try and fuel them to go into the next game and perform. And you know, Aston Villa are on the way up again. You know, it sickens me to hear people say that they're in a title race. I think be realistic. They are going to drop off They don't have the sustainability in terms of the squad depth. So I think people need to relax and calm down and not throw this narrative that they're in a title race. Like, relax yourself. They are in a top four race, though. I do believe that. I think the top four at the moment is there for the taking. I obviously United will they're a jammy team, but I don't think they're gonna make top four. Obviously, unfortunately, Chelsea's not gonna be in there. I did put them in there in terms of my early predictions, but and I still will stand by that prediction because I'm not gonna change it. But it's going to take a lot of work for them to graft and climb back up. Newcastle at the moment are in an inconsistent form, so the top four positions right now is looking tasty in a sense of, Aston Villa, if they maintain this consistency, they could be there or thereabouts come the end of the season, and I wouldn't put it past them because Unai Emery is the type of man to deliver consistency in terms of Europe and in terms of, maintaining top four or trying to get teams into Europe. So, it's good for them. I'm happy to see a different team up there anyway. And obviously with Liverpool City, teetering above and in and around the title picture, again, it opens up opportunities for anything to happen. But I just don't think it will, though. We're not going to see a Leicester happen. That was just a freak one-off. Um, so I don't think it will happen. But yeah, it was a good game to watch. And yeah, plaudits to both teams, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, it was a great game. Kamara was moving like Debo. Mopai doing what he does best, rattling the team. Him and Martinez are basically the same guys but different position.
Literally.
Yeah, they were just going at each other. But yeah, I think it did the game did change on the Ben Me red card, and for Brentford they're going to be safe this season. There are three teams worse than them, so they'll be all right. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Ivan Tony if he stays toward the summer out of respect or loyalty, or if he doesn't. And then for the Villa, yeah, title races don't start till March. Like this next month or two is going to be a busy period. A lot of games are going to go on, so we've seen a lot of good of teams be in these type of positions at this point of this season and then falter off. We've seen it year after year, and we've also seen teams finish fourth that after a while, after a couple seasons, disappear again. You see your Leicesters, your Evertons. Um, I think Villa is in that boat. I don't think they're going to be able to keep their top players in the long run because I think other teams are going to be snooping around for some of those players, especially if they continue to play well. And then if you look at the top teams in Europe, they're going to be sniffing around that Douglas Luiz, Kamara, Watkins is going to be a striker that a lot of teams is going to look at very soon. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Villa keep the players and go on for the rest of the season. But my game of the week was Man City Crystal Palace, and for me, Man City capitulated a two-goal lead. They did well to get the two-goal lead, and but this game is indicative of them this season. They've been very, they've been very not lackluster, but I say very. I don't know the word to say it. Maybe a bit not naive, but a bit arrogant in terms of the way they've played in some of these games because obviously after winning three leagues in a row and you go on that kind of level of you've won a treble, so this they've reached the pinnacle of the sport. They won a treble. They won. The only thing you can do more is a quadruple, but I personally think the quadruple was an impossible task. Um, so when you look at their team, they just seem as though they don't have the oomph to want to win. And I think they need fresh faces. I think they need a bit of a revamp. I think they didn't. They had a poor summer transfer window. If we think about it, they didn't replace Gundogan. They didn't replace Mahrez. They got Doku, who's good, but he's very raw and very inconsistent. He's got the quality to beat a man, but he's got the the IQ of a Marcus Rashford in the sense that he doesn't always make the right decision when he gets to the attacking third. You even saw that against Liverpool against Trent. The amount of times he got past and didn't make the right decision, and I think he's a player that needs to improve. Grealish and Foden need to step up more. They need to do more. They need to be there because obviously De Bruyne is out for a long period of time, maybe the whole season. So when you're missing a player of that quality, other players have to step up, and they haven't stepped up to the level that they needed to. So it's it was a overall okay performance, but just very complacent, very naive towards the end, and unlucky as well. Though I would say this, me personally, I don't think it was a penalty. Um, I think if you played football or played any kind of sport and seen that action, it was a very harsh one and very unlucky for Foden because you know what he's trying to do. He's trying to kick the ball away, and to be honest, if even it, he could even if he does that kick again and misses the guy by this much, the guy's not getting the ball. Let's be honest, he's not getting the ball and he's not scoring. So the ball was always going to go out of play. So when you look at that play, for me, it doesn't stop that man from scoring a goal or creating a chance because he wasn't anywhere near the ball. He lost control, and Foden would just wanted to just boot it out. And those are kind of ones that are very harsh. Personally, I wouldn't have said that was a penalty, in my opinion. But when you allow yourself to concede a goal, and you know 2-0 is the 2-0 is the most vicarious result to be in the middle of a game because the moment the opposition score, they get the momentum, they get the impetus, and it leads for things like this to happen. Things that are out of your control to change the game. A refereeing decision, a penalty, a mistake, stuff like that. So for Man City to allow them to score that goal initially from Mateta and to allow Crystal Palace to get back into the game was very complacent of them, and I think they need something. I just think they need a spark. They need an incentive to want to do it again because I feel like they're losing it. I feel like they're losing the hunger, the desire to win. And once you if you look at what's his name, Gary Neville, when he talks about after they won the treble, you can see that they didn't have the same hunger and desire to win afterwards because you've done the biggest thing you can do in the sport. The treble is the biggest. You see how many teams fall by the wayside after a treble. The Inter Milan team that did the treble with Mourinho, um, and teams of that ilk. You look at teams do trebles, and then the next season they don't play as well. So I think Man City just have lost a bit of a impetus, and I think overall the game didn't warrant them to draw. They should have won it, but you allow for the football gods to get in the way if you're complacent, and that's what City did. Were you able to see the game or say anything about the game, Luke?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I think fair play to Roy Hodgson and Palace. Obviously, they stuck to the game plan. They didn't change what the assignment was, what they were supposed to do. Soak up the pressure, play on the counter attack. This isn't the first time that Palace has come away with somewhat of a point against Man City. They've somewhat been Man City's bogey team for like the past 2 to 3 seasons now. So I'm not surprised that Man City, capitulated and allowed Palace to get back into the game because again, like we say this from day dot, play to the whistle and your focus needs to be from 0 minutes all the way to 90 minutes or even 100 minutes at this point because of how many minutes additional time is nowadays. So, you need to be switched on, you need to be focused, you can't be making stupid challenges. You can't be putting yourself in a position where you're allowing the referee to think, oh, this could be a decision. Yeah, we know what Phil Foden was supposed to do, but obviously, ultimately, it didn't work in his favor, and you shouldn't be putting yourself in a position where you're allowing the referee to give you that pen. It's the same thing with the Luke Shaw incident where, people were saying that that was a handball, but personally it wasn't a handball in my opinion. And if that was to be given, yes, I'd be happy, but then I would also say, that would have been harsh because Luke Shaw wasn't aware of where the ball was going to be. His hand was in a normal position, but coincidentally the ball just went up and it hit him in his arm. What was he to do in that situation? So for me, it's a case where you know the penalty wasn't given in that decision. But then the same thing again with Phil Foden is in that situation he had his mind in terms of clearance and getting the ball out. But again, he put himself in a position where if you're extending your leg and you're hitting an opponent, then ultimately a penalty is going to be given regardless if that person's going to score or not. And again, it's a typical midfielder and outfield challenge. That was, someone that's not natural in a box like a defender. A defender wouldn't make a decision or like that, but someone who's outfield that's just trying to clear, and one thought is to clear, etc. You're not thinking about positioning yourself, you're just thinking, okay, when in doubt, clear it. And that's ultimately that's what's happened to him. So again, the game plan was to soak up the pressure, and exactly what they did. They come away with a point, and ultimately, I agree with Margie. Sometimes when you've won so much and you're always winning, sometimes it can be quite boring. And I'm not accusing Man City of maybe being complacent and not hungry anymore, but there's definitely a difference to them this season. But last season the writing was on the wall. Let's be real. Last season they didn't play like how they normally would play in previous seasons, and I think the writing was on the wall last season in terms of what's happening now. And ultimately, with the three players who's been key to their success has obviously left, and they've brought in players who I feel haven't really lived up to the bill, is ultimately caused their squad to digress and downsize and not be challenged or be motivated in a way where they're hungry to go again. Maybe Pep Guardiola might have needed a new number two to come in or a new coach to come in to freshen some ideas, because I personally believe that the signings that they made, it just was not it. Guardiola, that's more of a Liverpool signing. That's someone that Liverpool would have thrived and utilized very well. Kovacic is he wasn't cutting it at Chelsea, so to bring in someone that wasn't cutting it at Chelsea, and we all know what the Chelsea tax is. If you sign a Chelsea player, they're not going to come good for you unless you're Daniel Sturridge, of course. Thank you, Chelsea. But like for me, like that's what tends to happen. Like if you try to sign a Chelsea player, they're not gonna ball out for you. So they were wrong in signing him. They should have went somewhere else. Ruben Neves was available at the time, and he would have been perfect for their midfield. Mahrez is gone, but you signed Doku, and Doku doesn't play the same position that Mahrez plays. So you signed for the left wing, but you didn't sign for the right wing. So that didn't make sense to me. Then you brought in Grealish, who's not P and P. He's more of a cutback man, but then he slows your play down when you're on a counter attack. He slows it down because he holds onto the ball for too long. Then you've got Phil Foden, who isn't a winger, he's a cam, but you're having to force him in a wing because you've got too many midfielders. So it's like, and then obviously Haaland is there and he's great and all, but Haaland can only be good if you're actually feeding him, and I just don't feel like they're playing to his strengths that much. So it's like it just feels like it's a team that's just been put together and not a team that's actually playing like a team, like previous Man City teams have been. Um, so yeah, I feel like yeah, this is probably the start of the decline of Man City. I think we can talk about Kevin De Bruyne all we want, but last season Kevin De Bruyne was on the decline last season as well, and he wasn't really playing that well. So to see him injured this season, um, I don't personally feel like they've lost him that much. I think, yeah, in terms of individual brilliance and trying to find Haaland, yeah, that's great and all, and he does do that. But I think if you analyze last season properly, he was very inconsistent. And I think we started to see the decline of him last season, which is why he's obviously injured now. So, it's just City season at the moment is just a culmination of poor signings, um, could be a lack of hunger, and maybe the system or the style that they're playing is sort of run its cycle, and maybe they need to think of a new adaptation in terms of how they're gonna play throughout the next 3 to 5 years whilst Pep Guardiola's here. Because I feel like teams are now starting to suss how they are, and teams are either confident in terms of their attacking City now and they're not afraid, or they're sitting back and they're actually defending as a unit and they're playing on a counter attack because they know that they've got far better pace than Man City does. And that's my analysis of City as a whole, but just the game at Man City, or at Palace. So yeah, it was good. As I said, it was a good game for the neutrals to see Man City drop, and I wish my team capitalised on that. But it's always good to see Man City fail because we don't want the league to be turned into a farmers league and have them do a four-peat. At this rate, I actually don't care who wins the league. I just don't want Man City to win it. So yeah, that's me.
I'm gonna disagree on that last point. Yeah, anybody but Arsenal. I don't care. Uh, I'm in London, so yeah, anybody but Arsenal. But we come to the end of the show where we tell a couple teams to hold that. Unfortunately, it's just little ones. Liverpool, little hold that. Man City, a little hold that. Um, you know what, Ben B, you can hold that because that was foolish. Um, Kamara, you can hold that. Man thought he was Debo. Man was trying to choke a man out. Um, any other hold that's out there? Let me.
Neil Morpay and Martinez, hold that, man. You
Yeah.
guys, you guys are fool, bro. Man is 6'4", 6'5", getting barged by Morpay and falling down like a sack of shit, fam.
Uh,
How's man falling down like that?
Actually, I do have one more. Hoyland, Man United striker, 0 goals, 13 games in the Premier League. Hold that.
I think that's a world record. That's mad.
Get your goals up, man. Actually, you know what? Man United's goal scoring record, they can hold that because my attacking three of Palmer, Sterling, and Jackson have 18 goals this season, same as Man United. Big Manchester United. Anyway, I digress. Not a great episode. We talked about football. We talked about the weekend's results. We'll be back next week to talk about the League Cup and the upcoming weekend. Obviously, League Cup quarters in the middle of the week. Um, we have Newcastle at home. I think Liverpool, you're playing in that as
We
well.
got West Ham.
West
Yeah,
Ham. So
we got West Ham at home.
a tournament that we could possibly meet each other in the final again. But hopefully
Yeah, that would
we
be
we
great.
we win it this time. Yeah, because last time was some Manuli
That was a
stuff.
snooze fest.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe it's a better final this time because it's all attack, no nothing in the back for both our teams right now. But
Literally, man.
and then yeah, on to the weekend, the big game, Liverpool Arsenal. It's going to be a fascinating watch. Um, who am I playing? I think I'm away to someone. Who am I away to? Wolves. Away to Wolves. Oh, thank God, Traore's not there anymore. So no man, putting up some level and them thing there. But I don't know if Pedro Neto's around. Hopefully he's not, because he's been balling out when he's playing. But yeah, Wolves is going to be a difficult game. We got that Korean guy, and yeah, they look like a decent team at the moment. So, well, it's been a great episode. For the final time, I say adieu, goodbye, Auf Wiedersehen, we out, and peace.
Peace.
Arsenal still soft.